to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me, as always, is Ben Slinger.
Hi. Welcome to the podcast. This is a game design podcast, and we're going to play some games where we get some random stuff and do some game design. So, do we just do some click pitch, Trevor?
I think so.
All right. Well, Click Pitch is a game where we each have a random word generator in front of us, and on the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we are going to get a fresh set of words, an adjective and a noun each. We're going to let each other know what they are and let you know what they are, and then use that as a prompt for some comedic game design, potentially.
We're going to try something a little bit different this week.
Ooh.
Where I'm going to cut out where we actually say the words, and you're just going to guess what they are. Like, I'm just joking.
That, no.
We could do that. I mean, I do quite a bit of editing.
Play
when
along
I
at
edit
home
these
challenge. We're not allowed to say the words. We'll have a little buzzer that if either of us says any of the 4 words that we've got, then we're disqualified. We lose points. Look, let us know in a review if that's something you'd want to listen to. But tonight, I think we'll stick with the standard formula that's worked so far for, approximately 239 episodes as of tonight. Cool. Let's jump in. 3, 2, 1, click.
Yep, 3, 2, 1, click. Accompanying challenge.
Famous certainty. This made me think of who accompanies
A famous person.
a celebrity. And what sort of challenges they might have.
That is quite often, their PAs and that sort of stuff. Their personal assistant.
Like bodyguards or...
so I'm kind of thinking, personal assistant to the stars or something like that. What would be the challenges that you've got to deal with? According to Kevin Smith in Jane Silent Bob Strike Back, there was like cleaning up, drug paraphernalia and dead hookers. But we don't have to go to quite that.
Well, not in level
lengths.
1.
No.
What is this game like? Is this I immediately went to a Hitman style sort of situation, but we do that a lot.
You're on the movie set with your celebrity.
Okay.
And they kind of send you out to get different things. And it's all about making sure that when you go out there to pick up the coffee order, that the coffee order is actually matches what they said, and the salesperson didn't screw you over on the double pump mocha cappuccino or whatever it was.
The cappuccino, yeah. That's the special. That's the special at this particular coffee shop. The cappuccino.
Yes.
Yeah.
The cappuccino. Yep.
It's because they cough into it. Okay, but we need to. That's all well and good, but we need to find the fun.
Okay, so the fun is actually how can you fuck with a celebrity while not getting fired?
So this is a celebrity who's an asshole. And
he basically berates everyone, but the money's good.
Right, okay. And so you're trying to see how many times you can spit in their cappuccino before they notice.
Yes.
And then decide who you can blame it on, and then that person gets fired.
Well, ideally no one to get fired.
But if they've actually figured out that someone's spit in their coffee, someone's getting fired.
I know. I just think sort of having to actually do things for a celebrity like this could actually be quite interesting.
Well, maybe it's a bit more of I went to almost an arcadey kind of mode where you are having to do those sort of fetchy sorts of things, but it's almost more of a top-down-ish view, almost like an isometric kind of view.
So it's a Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2 sort of view where you like
could be.
Jump in the car, run down a few pedestrians. I was actually starting to think arcadey.
I was almost
thinking
of like a Diablo 3-ish view, like that perspective, but obviously not in dungeons unless it's a movie that they're doing about being in dungeons. But on the set, and they're kind of, they're walking from the limo into the whatever, and it's almost a quick pace thing. So you might get they want a coffee. Oh shit. Okay. I need to get that to them before they get to the set, or I'm going to lose respect points from them or whatever. I need to make sure that this other celebrity, this other cast member doesn't bother them in their trailer. So you're literally fending them off but
you're running interference.
Yeah, you're running interference, but you've also got other tasks on your list. You're like, oh shit, but I need to make sure that the hairdresser isn't late because like I know that he gets, antsy when he doesn't get his hair enough time done on his hair or whatever. So like you've kind of got these checklists of things to do, but yeah, you've got obviously all these challenges coming up at the same time. And so you're moving from place to place on the set, and each place, you've got different things, goals you have to meet.
Yeah. Okay. So what I want to kind of bring into this is some of those typical RPG elements of cool loot that you can put on your character to sort of spruce it up a little bit, to make the running round a little bit better. And, maybe you can get like stability gloves that actually help you keep the 13 coffees that he just asked for a lot more stable as you're running.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think you get, like I said, make it kind of arcadey. Maybe if you're running around, you literally have fucking power ups where if you run through the castmates trailer where they're doing tons of cocaine, then you'll like be faster for the next 20 seconds. So it can be worth taking a detour.
So does your character automatically parkour everywhere, or is that like something that you can sort of skill up in? So
yeah,
you can
maybe that there's almost a skill tree where you can do better parkour and better leaps. You can have. Yeah, you can run faster. You can do better things. Maybe it's even down to the thing like, oh, you finagled a sponsorship with a running shoe, company for the celebrity, and it means that you get a free pair of sneakers, which makes you run faster.
Yeah. Well, what I'm thinking is that you start off working for a low-level celebrity. But then as you start getting better and faster and meeting,
is it, yeah,
these sort of things, someone else sees what you're actually doing and they sort of go, wow, we'll hire you at a higher base rate. And
yeah, I do like the idea of having different celebrities because I think you have custom built celebrities. You've got maybe like 5 to 10 different celebrities that each have their own personalities, each have their own things that you need to do in different ways. And you can be headhunted by them, but also doing your job well makes whoever you are working for more famous. So there is a balance of like, oh, do I jump ship just when it's going well because now, they see that and other people want me, or do I stick around, hopefully get a pay rise, hopefully get onto bigger movie sets and bigger deals, and stick with this particular celebrity, even though he's a fucking prick. And he doesn't appreciate me.
That's actually a pretty cool idea for a game. I like it.
Yeah, it could be cool. Although, since you added in the parkour stuff, now I'm going back more to a third-person kind of view. Mm-hmm. And it's like full-on Assassin's Creeding around the movie sets and stuff. And yeah, carrying the coffees and things. Almost like actually, and this is funny because we mentioned it before the episode, it's almost like a Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
In that it's sort of now
combos
and all
that
sort of traversal stuff. And there's arcadey kind of like, picking up almost power ups and different things and hitting all your checkpoints.
I love the idea that, if you happen to time it right and you see someone swiping into the door, they open it up and you can kind of just sneak in there. You get, something added to your combo multiplier sort of thing.
Well, absolutely. Or even just as shortcuts through the level. It's like, oh, if you time it right, when someone's going through a security door, you can sneak in and cut a whole extra section of the route off your time, because you're going through the secure area. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and I love the idea that until you actually drop a coffee, the multiplier is just going up and up and up.
Yeah, Yeah, basically.
The more risky that you do it, like if you're running along and, you happen to knock some people over, but then, sort of regain your balance, you kind of,
coffees, yeah.
you get a little bit of multiplier because like you got rid of the annoying teenagers.
Well, and I like the idea that if you have a big tumble, you've got like one chance and it's almost a little mini game, like quick time mini game thing of just doing a fucking, Tobey Maguire in the first Spider-Man, like catching all the stuff on the tray. You can catch all the coffees and they're all upright. It's like, yeah, saved it. You don't lose your combo.
You know why that actually looks really, really good?
Oh, I do know.
Part?
They actually did it.
Actually did
like 100 takes or something.
That's fucking amazing that's how they
There's
did
no way they do that these days. They just fucking CG the whole thing.
And thing is, it was one of my favorite parts of that film because it was like, he really is Spider-Man. Like,
yeah.
It's really good. Okay, 3 to 1 click.
Yeah, 3 to 1 click. Damaging absence.
Enthusiastic flame.
What, where do you need a flame where its absence would be damaging? Like in a coal engine, like in a steam engine or something?
Yeah, that could be a reasonable place.
Like I'm kind of picturing you play a flame that is intended to be in a steam engine, but you're like exploring. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to like get you back into this steam engine because they want their train to fucking run. Or something along those lines, right? Like something around being able to go in and out of an engine and like while you're in it, you're powering it, but while you're out, you're doing other adventures or something. Or even just, it could actually be a good, like I'm picturing a bit of a platformer, right?
Okay. Yep.
And I think we've done a flame-based platformer before, but this may be a bit different because the mechanic I'm thinking around then is around like steam-powered things. So, you might have around this level different things that you can jump into and power and essentially control it at that point. But maybe you need to be a large enough flame. And so it's about like collecting, the fuel in the area enough so that your flame is enough that it's like powering up the steam powered mechanism that opens a door or powering up, the steam powered train to get to across the level. Or eventually, powering up the giant steam-powered mech that, has been looming over you for the whole game. Like, that's the final thing you do. Almost a bit of a Katamari Damacy style thing of, like, the scope changing, the size as you grow.
For some reason, I'm just seeing the flame is actually like maybe a secret project of, like, some secret institute in which they've sort of been building up this
sentient flame,
either sentient flame or just like an entity that lives on fire and heat. I kind of like the idea of adding a little bit of that espionage into it, that your character doesn't quite know where they come from and they're out of a laboratory sort of thing.
Yeah, it could be a bit more of a sort of a fire being, like a fire sprite, a fire entity of some sort. You can have some interesting traversal stuff as well where like you can travel along like dried vines or something or dried roots where it's like you burn them up to get up to a higher spot and then, they maybe grow back over time or something or whatever. It's almost like a grinding mechanic in other platformers, but it's just burning up these strings of vines or whatever.
Wow. Yeah. I like it.
And because then you could have things like, it's like, oh, these vines are too green. Like we need to heat up
dry
the
them
area.
out for a little bit.
Yeah. Like we need to somehow dry out the area. And so that's a puzzle in this area. It's like, oh, now all the vines in this area are dried. We've now opened up new sections of the level because you can now traverse these dried vines.
I kind of like the idea that maybe you see like a humidifier, where it's sort of, adding a little bit of moisture to the air and all that sort of stuff, and you got to kind of take it out. And when you do, you come back after unlocking the next power, then all of a sudden it's all dried now. So
yeah, well that's it. You can bring some Metroidvania sort of mechanics into it where. Yeah, you're basically opening up these different areas and it's now like, oh, now I can use this new ability that I found. That's cool.
I like the idea that when you start getting bigger and better, that you can basically almost not teleport, but you can sort of choose almost like a flame network, like where you come out.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you sort of merge, like if there's like, if there are other things that are on fire, then you can essentially merge with it temporarily and come out anywhere that fire, like the front of,
has
any
touched.
front of the fire or something. Yeah.
I kind of like you reach the end of the level and it sort of goes through at like a slightly slightly brought back view of all the damage that you've caused throughout the entire level.
Every level ends with essentially you've just like this whole area in flames, just an inflagration. Do you think that you maybe come up against other elemental beings that these scientists have created? Because both like, well, all three of a water sprite, air sprite, and a sort of earth sprite would be things that could take you out, right? Like those are almost your bosses or something.
Yeah. But still, I reckon we've got to try and work out how the hardest one, which is obviously the heart sprite, is going to, be the final boss of the game, sort of thing.
I mean, it's just, you just have to cloak it all in metaphor and then you can make it whatever you like.
Your heart sprite is actually just another fire sprite.
The heart sprite is actually literally just the heart of a monkey.
Ooh, so I'm seeing that the water level is all about steam. And, heating up pipes and stuff to create steam, moving from places to place, which can actually help you get up a little bit higher and all this sort of stuff. Like,
for sure. Well, and I think when you're combining it with the ability to like, power steam powered machinery as well, then that there's a lot you can do there. And I feel like in the earth level is a lot around machinery. It's like there are diggers around and different things where you're shifting earth to get through the level to get to different places.
But there's not as much stuff that you can set on fire. It's kind of you'd actually have to be a little bit smarter in how you actually do that, because if you get snuffed out by the fire by getting covered in dirt, then
exactly. Yeah.
But again, I think with dirt you've also got metal, so it's all about melting metal and sort of creating molten rock.
Yeah, well, I wonder if then one of the powers you get, when you get into that level is like the ability to focus your flame. And so you can essentially become like a welding flame then. But, you've got a limited amount of power before it has to build back up, or you have to find more fuel or whatever. You'd have some sort of limiting mechanic.
We've got one for steam. We've got one for dirt. What's our air one?
I mean, I feel like the air level would be a lot of maneuvering to avoid big gusts of wind, like timing and stuff.
Backdrafts and all this sort of stuff. And it's all about air control.
That's cool. That you can, that's interesting, because it's about the oxygen being fuel for the flames, and so you section off an area, set the whole thing alight, and then open the door, and the big backdraft, you can then travel along the backdraft to get somewhere further away. That's cool.
So the first level is actually, you are the boss, effectively, of the first level as such, but you're traversing it backwards.
Okay, that's interesting.
So you were originally like the boss of the first level, it being the fire sprite and all that sort of stuff, and you were sick to death of being, the bad guy.
Who are you fighting though at that point?
Well, I think the hero comes in, and as like the initial thing that happens in the game is you defeat the hero, and it's like, oh, this has never happened before.
They're a very like classic platformer hero, some sort of anthropomorphic animal with a sidekick,
and they turn up and you're having to take him out. And it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll go backwards. So you go backwards throughout the level.
Like, where are these heroes keep coming from? All right, I'm going to track them down.
And you see all this greenery and all this sort of stuff, and you're sort of taking it out, and you burn down your entire temple that your whole level was set to. I'm thinking there's like little bits of kindling and all this sort of stuff along the way that you can sort of set, but the whole thing is very dry because it's, it's the flame temple, and you got lava and all this sort of stuff. So it's a pretty big sort of area, and you happen to get through that. Yeah. And then you get a choice of where you want to go from there.
Well, then you find the hub world.
Yeah.
So are we sticking with the scientist creator thing, or is this more of a mystical elemental situation, and you've just never ventured outside of your temple because it's all you've ever known?
Yeah, but you can also bring back the whole science. The scientists actually created this as a testing ground for their elementals to see who was the most powerful. And
maybe it's one of these like ancient scientific civilization kind of things where it's like, yes, they did this, thousands of years ago. And, initially it was, this essentially this testing ground for their different elemental creations. But there's only one of each element left that have survived in these temples. And now it's become this like place where the heroes go to test themselves. Essentially from the nearby villages or whatever, because the civilization has fallen. And so then you can have some, as you go through each other area and get to the temple and either defeat or potentially recruit the other sprites.
You prove your superiority over the other sprites and they sort of follow your lead from then on. And
because then you can have some interesting things as you go through. Or maybe it's a situation of like replayability in the levels. It's like, oh, I've defeated the water sprite, so now when I go back to the fire level, I can call on them or use certain abilities that they have to like, now I can put out some fire in this area and that I previously couldn't pass because it was like, well, I mean, you're fire, but whatever it is,
I kept on being, pulled into the massive blaze. I couldn't actually control it.
It was too overwhelming.
It was too,
or even things like the water can like water the area and plants grow and then you dry them out and then now you can travel along or something like that, right? You can have the other abilities then. You can. That's how you go back and get all your secrets in the previous levels and stuff. Yeah,
I can see that there's actually, some other things that you can get along the way. I think some of the water sprite stuff that they can do is, plant growth or something along those lines of basically, they basically put a seed into their bloodstream where they can sort of just fire it out and, it's already wetted up enough that it can just start growing. Well,
and once you've got combinations as well of the like if you've got, I've defeated the earth and the water sprites. Well, now I can like, build mounds and plant plants up them and then travel along the burnt plants or whatever, whatever it is.
I'm almost seeing now that each sprite gets probably their worst nightmare as like their thing that they can't pass in their room, which is what's keeping them in their room.
Okay.
Because I'm seeing that, if you try to leave as a water sprite, you're going to get frozen by this area. But if you get the flame in there, you can start melting the ice and turning it back into water and getting a little bit more stronger. And just a few little things like that.
I mean, there's just so many different mechanics you can throw in there for those combinations of elements. There's a reason why those elements are the like 4 main elements that are always used in things, because they all complement and.
But how does heart work?
Fuck heart.
Go planet.
The heart's staying with Captain Planet and, whatever. Not part of this game.
I noticed, just as an aside, that they didn't include heart in the Planetina episode of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. I was always expecting there to be heart.
Yeah, I know, yeah. 3, 2, 1, click. Attempted deity.
Immortal parking.
Well, now I just have the idea of gods like having shitty parking, or or just like a corporate the corporatization of like Olympus or something.
Oh God, I'm just seeing like Zeus as the ultimate dude, bro.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's like always trying to get everyone for drinks after work and like stay out all night and get hammered.
He's got his hair tied back in a ponytail,
like in a man bun,
and he's got the Bluetooth,
a little lightning shaped Bluetooth headset.
Yeah, he's got a suit.
Zeus only
lightning-shaped bloody pinstripes.
Zeus only uses Apple products because he refuses to use anything but lightning connectors. Oh, all right. I love it. Okay. Corporate Olympus.
Yep.
So, who else have we got here? Hermes is like in the mailroom.
Yes.
Like
definitely.
dashing around delivering everyone's mail. kind of just the friendly, like likable, but fairly low, low ranking person in the organization.
Yep. Athena's like second in charge sort of thing. Like she's right at the very top. She's like, if Zeus is like the CEO, then Athena's like maybe the CFO or something like that.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for Zeus to be, the douchey CEO of is this like a startup? Are we sort of doing startup, or is this more like a banking, like large organization culture?
I think what's actually happened, they got so enamored with like the 90s and 2000s Earth that they revamped Olympus into like this huge skyscraper building, and Zeus comes in a Segway all the time, and he's
the full like .com early Amazon sort of Facebook days. Yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to go into the parking, because that just gave us the idea of
no, we don't have to do
corporate Olympus.
That's fine. That's fine.
I love it so far. Okay. So do you play one of the demigods who have just sort of, you found out that you're one of Zeus's many sons, and you've just entered in on the bottom level?
Yeah. Okay. Should we choose one, or are we just making one up?
Yeah, making one up.
All right, so we just make one up. You just play, someone. Zeus is in one of his many drunken nights out where he forces the entire company to like go and watch him get hammered. Has impregnated someone on Earth and created another demigod, and
his name is Trent.
Well, no, I think we do character creation, as you know. As always, make it, give some options there. But sure, it's like Trent or,
Trentina.
No. Just what's another equally douchey kind of name? Okay, Tina, fine. I'm not saying that Tina is a douchey name.
Trina,
sure. Yeah. And so is this you working your way up the corporate structure then of Olympus, essentially, like proving your worth?
Whether it's that, or whether you just, like, you got daddy issues and you're trying to get the
approval of the CEO.
Yeah.
But you can't get any time with them initially. You're too low level.
So who plays the HR representative? Which of the many gods is like the HR?
I feel like... okay. Some interesting thoughts for which one would be. Hephaestus is obviously the CTO.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe...
I was actually thinking maybe
Hera?
Hades.
Oh,
I was actually thinking maybe Hades,
yeah, okay.
because, king of the underworld and HR, always wanting to be in charge and deciding how people,
No, I agree. Does the firing.
Yep.
Yep. Hades is head of HR. Definitely.
And it just breaks the norm of a female god sort of thing in like a subservient role. Whereas, I do like Athena as a CFO sort of thing, even though there are, there is a god of wealth or whatever. Can't remember his name.
But no, I think it makes sense for the wise, like, wisdom to be the CFO. That's fine. Apollo heads up the creative team because he's like god of music and arts and stuff. Maybe marketing then.
Yeah. There's just something about the idea of, in order to visit Olympus, you as a demigod have to die or whatever. And you turn up like
you turn up and you're it's the interview process to get hired on, essentially.
I mean, you could even hide it for the first half of an act. Like,
yeah. Well, until you meet one of the big gods, you could definitely just like, or at least until you get the job. Like, you start off, it's an interview process. You've got some, like, because I'm thinking sort of third person, you just like, action-y adventure, wandering around, looking at stuff. So you just,
general filing.
You're just in a corporate office. Yeah, maybe you do some temping or like you do some basic work first of all, and you're sort of just getting a sense of like, oh, what's this office like? Oh, they don't really like the CEO. He sounds like a bit of a douchebag. And then eventually you get hired, and it's like, yeah, here's our head of HR, Hades. He'll give you the paperwork that you need. And literally like sitting on a throne of fire or something.
Oh, so my idea is, do we have any of the Titans? that turn up. Maybe they're part of the board.
They're on the board. All the Titans are on the board. Yeah, either that or there are like other corporations that are like, competitors or something.
What would the God of War be?
Like, I was just thinking, what's Ares? Party planner? Party planning committee.
I mean, marketing, I can also see him involved there too as well.
Yeah, I mean, what's the most violent...
He's head of the legal department.
Oh, legal. Fuck, yes. Yes. Ares is head of legal, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about this. It's such a cool idea.
Because, of course, it's Dionysus who's heading up the party planning committee. Jesus Christ.
If you're wondering why Ben knows so many of the gods, it's because he played the game Hades so goddamn much that he remembers all of them.
It's also because I have the Wikipedia page up for 12 Olympians. Otherwise, I wouldn't have remembered them all. But yes, I do know a lot of them from the very wonderful game Hades. Go and play it. It's on Game Pass in there soon.
Oh, nice. Gameplay starts out as like a boring menial office job until you find out, that your boss is actually one of the 12 gods of Olympus or whatever.
Do your memories come back then or something? Like, were you maybe not remembering up to this point or something? Or you were just revealed to the players that it's like, because Hades says like, another one of Zeus's, huh? Okay, well, don't think that nepotism's going to get you too far here. There's a lot of you thinking half Zeus's running around. Demi-Zeus, little Demi-Zeus.
In fact, half your superiors are probably Demi-Zeuses.
Yeah. You're not going to get ahead just from your daddy issues, so prepare to work.
So do you start in the mailroom or do you start like just in...
Yeah, look, that could be interesting because I feel like Hermes is a good...
introductory
boss to like tutorialize you for the game, essentially. You get to know the different floors and stuff. You don't get to visit them all right away, but
mailroom is where you get to sort of see a few more floors than what you normally would if you would.
You get to visit some of the other floors. You get to visit, marketing and legal and have run-ins with the leads of each department.
And then from then on, like you're trying to work your way up the corporate structure. So you kind of, you're trying to find the right things.
Do you maybe get jobs in the different departments then? And so we can mix up the gameplay a bit and...
Yeah, you effectively, each time that you move to a new place, you're looking for the thing to get you to the next department. You could get to towards the end of the game, and it's like, wow, you've had a busy first day.
It's just all in one day.
Just joking about it, like
it takes a long time for the sun to go down here on Olympus. Yeah, of course. Because you can play. Yeah, I mean, you can play so much with all the office tropes of. Yeah, like it does. Yeah, the day really drags, doesn't it, when you've literally been promoted 7 times?
Obviously, there's going to be some catering that you occasionally have to call up for once you get up to some of the higher levels that you've got to organize a board meeting and they need catering for it because they can't be there alone. And that's how you talk with who's the god of like food and gluttony and shit.
Well, that is Dionysus. So yeah, they do the party planning, but they're
party
also
planning and catering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't found roles for all of them, but we don't have to do all of them. I'm not sure where Hera fits in, goddess of marriage, women, childbirth, and family. That's sort of HR-ish as well. Or maybe they're just like the sensitivity.
They look after the childcare. Like,
yeah, okay.
So they've got a creche up on Zeus's floor.
Sorry, I'm on the Wikipedia, but you gotta love when they're describing the relationships as like sister and wife of Zeus.
Oh my God.
Demeter, goddess of the harvest, agriculture, fertility of the earth.
Okay, and then when you get right up to the very top, just as you're about to meet Zeus for the first time, they actually make mention of, Zeus is in crisis meetings at the moment, as we currently have a takeover bid from and you go into like either the Norse gods or you go into the the Egyptian gods and it's and it sort of opens it up to
the corporate landscape of the gods,
the underworld or the afterlife. I love it.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, fucking Odin's corporation is like trying to make a hostile takeover. That's great. All right. 3, 2, 1 click.
Mm-hmm.
Prime lane.
Secular, boring.
I'm taking boring to mean like drilling through the earth.
I was taking it to mean, well, it's secular, so therefore, it's kind of boring.
Yeah, I know, but from a gameplay point of view, I feel like digging through the earth is more fun. Prime lane. So I went in 2 places. One could just be like some sort of, if you've got lanes, and that could work with drilling if you're like different, like, I don't know, tunnels or something, different lanes. But also my mind went to someone whose name is Lane, and and they're the prime lane. So I don't know if this is a multiverse situation or Highlander or what, but
as long as you don't bring in Highlander 2, then it's all fine.
Highlander 2, the lanening. I don't think I've even seen them.
Yeah, let's just say Highlander 2 retcons so much stuff and basically makes them as aliens that got like put on Earth as like punishment and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like,
stupid.
Why did you have to go and do that? That's why it's like Highlander 2, The Quickening is never referenced again, and they basically skip it when they go to Highlander 3. They just go 1-3.
Yep. Makes sense.
So horrible. Okay. So why is the prime lane drilling?
With a person who is the prime lane, why are they drilling?
Yes.
Okay.
What is their inspiration?
They could be trying to find oil or some sort of resource. Mm-hmm. They could be trying to get revenge on the ants that live under their garden.
Mm-hmm.
They could be...
I'm currently hearing a click again situation.
They could be building pipes of some sort, like a pipe system.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could click again.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah.
What 3 words?
Oh.
We haven't done this for ages.
All right. So
what 3 words? Oh god, it's going to be a good one if Ben's already laughing.
I don't know if we can make a game from it, but
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, tell us about
what 3 words is a pretty amazing service where a team has broken up the world into 3-meter chunks and assigned every single chunk 3 words so that emergency services can find out your exact location by giving them 3 simple words. Now, I've turned it into a randomized game design prompt generator. So, Ben, what 3 words did you have?
Sanest libertarian shrimp.
That's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, isn't it?
I don't know. I could click and find out.
Does it have a location?
It has a location.
Oh,
Oh, that's why. Well, I thought it hadn't loaded, but no, it's just empty because it's in the middle of Greenland.
Yeah. Okay. So, sanest libertarian shrimp. So, I kind of see this as like a game where you play a shrimp.
Yeah. Now, look, libertarians are people who are all for like the small government, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's all like individualism, freedom of choice, bullshit. Like small government, don't step on me. Like, let me do whatever I want, essentially, and forget anyone who's underprivileged. All right. Well, let's just go with, we play a shrimp,
mm-hmm.
and there's some sort of like political divide that you're dealing with.
Okay. Does this entire thing take place in like an aquarium in a restaurant?
Okay.
Or an aquarium somewhere. I kind of like the idea of it sort of zooming in and you're sort of seeing, it's going through all these people and then it just zooms
focuses in on
this.
It's got to be a fairly large aquarium. Like it's like one of those built into the wall situations where you've got just sort of a fairly big aquarium with a lot of different creatures in there.
Yeah.
And it just focuses on this small shrimp.
It's kind of like when you go to the Melbourne Aquarium and in the middle of the cafe,
yeah,
they've got that
big round
huge
one.
Fucking aquarium.
Yep.
It's basically in that sort of size,
that configuration. Okay. And so maybe you play like a teenage shrimp living at home with your parents.
That's where it starts. Yes.
That's where it starts. And you disagree with your parents because they're libertarians and they don't believe in charity and they don't believe in governmental regulation. But the lobsters who run the government, the aquarium, are trying to make some changes.
See, I was almost thinking that it could go into, like, you're running for school president.
Oh, okay. We could take it on a smaller scale. Yeah.
School being, you know, a name for a group of fish, which kind of makes sense in the fact that, you know, you want to be head of the school sort of thing. And you
want to make decisions about the school and, yeah.
You can still bring it into it that your parents are, like, libertarians and all that sort of stuff.
It's fine.
Like,
I don't have enough political analysis at my fingertips to make that compelling. So
yeah. Okay. So with the word sanist, I like the idea that all your ideas about the outside world are actually, you know, true, but everyone thinks that you're just crazy. It's like, how could anyone live without being underwater and all this sort of stuff? Like, if you look out there, all I see is water. You know,
right. It's one of those situations where, like, unless you go above the water or something, you can only see your reflection bouncing back at you because of the way the glass and the water.
Yeah, this is all there is, and then you see a hand sort of go right up against the aquarium.
Yeah, or it's like, well, but how do you explain, like, the fact that the food falls from above, or that, you know, sometimes people are snatched up from the top if they go too close to the surface?
That is God. God provides for us. and it's all about, you know, you're trying to get people doing some free speech and all this sort of stuff within the school.
Yeah. Well, and you're trying to convince them. You're fighting against the flow. You're essentially fucking, what is it? Copernicus or something. Who was it that
what I love is that, you know, your parents are basically saying fuck charity, but then food comes from above and they just eat it. Like, so they
oh yeah, they're complete hypocrites, like all libertarians. They still take part in the government welfare systems, you know, as they should be allowed to do, but they rail against them, and
you know, they don't want it for anyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it works. Yeah, so I kind of like the idea that your character's kind of trying to get people to think outside the aquarium.
Yeah, and I like using the term shrimp as also, like, you're kind of a nerdy little shrimp.
Right.
You're like, especially compared to so many of the other fish and creatures, crustaceans and things in this aquarium, you kind of get beaten up or like jeered at as you're trying to, you know, make your ideas known. So how does this play out from a gameplay perspective then? I'm loving the idea of, like, a nice verdant aquarium, lovely rendered, you know, that you can go through. What do the edges of this aquarium look like? Is there just a reflection that is constantly there? That's be interesting to traverse that.
I think there would have to be some sort of reflection back on itself because of the way the glass is curved and
maybe
all that
it's
sort
not
of stuff.
maybe it's not it's not just like a mirrored reflection though. It's like you get waviness to it, and maybe you even see, like, sort of shapes behind, like you get there's almost a sense of the atmosphere out there, but you can't actually see
it's past. Shadows sort of thing.
Yeah, you'd have to get some technical artists on that to come up with some really good effects to how that would work and how that would look.
But what you do is you just go to one of the aquariums and you shove a camera down into it and you go, oh no, you can see out of it. It's fine. Like,
well, yeah, it just depends on whether, for gameplay purposes, we want to, you know.
Depends on, you know, how good your video card is, at how ray traced it is.
It's doing full fucking refractive ray tracing through the water, and
fuck yeah.
Yeah. All right, yeah. How does this play out? Are you sort of third person, you know, traveling and swimming around these areas, or is it more of a dialogue based sort of situation where you're just going from scene to scene and, like, making decisions, or I don't know? Yeah,
I kind of like the idea of it's a dialogue based sort of Telltale-esque game.
Yeah, I do like the idea of being able to swim around and see the nicely rendered aquarium and get a sense for the the space.
But then you need to be at a certain place at a certain time, and then when you turn up, you go.
You trigger the next part of the story, essentially, and yeah, that's cool. I like the idea that like the school it looks like a castle because of like the decorations that get put in aquariums. There's just like chests everywhere bubbling out, and there's a statue in the front of the school that's like a diving, a humanoid diving person with a diving helmet on. Nobody knows what it represents. Yeah, that's cool.
That is.
All right. Maybe we'll move on though, because we could go deeper on that one. I think the aquarium's a little shallow.
Yeah,
it's a little shallow. All right, Trevor, what 3 words?
Flunked, absorbent lieutenants.
Flunked,
as in they failed out of boot camp
because they were
too
absorbent.
So I like the idea of like an anthropomorphic world with like absorbent paper towels. And it's like the boot camp is all about being the best that you can be to be put on a roll to get out into the world, sort of thing. Like,
to expand on it a little, is it just paper towels, or is this maybe like in a supermarket or something, or like in a shop that sells multiple things, and so you've got a variety of anthropomorphic products?
Yeah, but I don't want it to have the same sort of sexual tones of
Sausage Party or whatever it was.
Sausage Party, yeah, because that was a little bit too insane.
We don't need to have an orgy scene with multiple food products. No, that's fine. I'm thinking maybe we stick to cleaning supplies.
Yeah. Maybe it's a factory and it's all about you go through boot camp trying to get out of the factory into the supermarket.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
So in this, I think you're a brand new sort of recruit to this thing, and you're being, sort of toughened up to become more absorbent, and one of your mentors is actually a lieutenant that failed out many years ago, but they kept him on.
Yeah, like
he's become almost like the poster child of why you want to try harder, because he was a failure and he couldn't do, so he taught, and what he teaches is
how not to fail. I do like this because there's a lot of imagery in paper towels, less so here, I think, but a lot in the US, of like strong men, like they've got their like brawny towels or whatever. So I think you play this really like gung-ho character that is just like, yeah, I'm going to rock this. Like you're the new brand of I don't know, fucking muscle towels or something. And like the first scene when you do your first test is you just in that shirt ripping motion, just tearing off your outer like plastic wrapping so that you can start mopping things up with yourself, I guess. So what is this gameplay around, like absorbing liquids then?
Yeah, I think it's about absorbing liquids and being able to, sort of do a number of different things. I think how much liquid you can actually hold before it disintegrates and that sort of stuff. Like effectively you, maybe it's brands more so than like a single thing, but I don't know, we can just play around with the fact that you can actually replenish your own supply sort of thing.
Yes. I think you'd have to. Okay. Well, you could have some levels which are like you team up with like a multi-purpose spray, like they're your partner. And so you're maybe guiding them on where to spray, and then you throw out towels. Do you just, maybe you throw out sections of yourself, like you're sort of shooting them out to like wipe things up. Wherever they land, they'll like clean.
Oh, and basically they kind of like, almost like little goblin sort of things. Sort of.
They're like, yeah, okay. They're like, oh, yeah, that's fine. That's good. I was just thinking that you're almost like projectiles, but you're saying, okay, they're basically like little beings.
They're little pieces of you that come to life and take themselves to the bin sort of thing. Like,
so is this all about just...
It's a short life, but it's a good one.
Is this about learning different techniques then of... And then you've just got these rooms to clean, and you can maybe tag team in and out with your different partners.
I think you start realizing that cleaning is more than just making sure that, an area looks clean. It becomes more about...
It's be sanitary.
how sanitary, like how many germs you and your partner, the multi-purpose spray.
Yeah. Like left behind or something.
Is he too diluted? Like he's not actually killing all the germs because, he's...
So you have a falling out with your buddy. You have a falling out with your buddy, the multi-purpose spray, because you think they're not strong enough. They're not doing their job. Yeah, they've been diluting to like spray so that they can last longer, but it means that they're not as strong and they're not killing enough germs. So that's a whole dramatic scene in the midst of it, between levels.
And then you find out the lieutenant, he also failed out
for that reason or something,
because of like a multi-purpose spray reason, and they start realizing that germs are actually sort of building up tolerances to these sprays and all this sort of stuff. And
what's the message here, though? Because I almost thought, is it maybe actually that you're learning your lesson of like, okay, just because your friend is not strong enough, like you still have to work together to do the best job you can. And actually how the lieutenant failed out is that they were doing the same thing you did. They like had a falling out with their friend, the Windex, and because there were he didn't want any streaks on the windows, but what he realized was without the Windex, he was useless anyway.
Yeah.
Even if, the Windex wasn't 100%. That's ridiculous.
It is.
Do you have other partners or just other teams of like the dustpan and brush team, or like, do you have to bring them in first? Because you don't want to, if you've got an area that's loose with debris, you don't want to be in there with your multi-purpose spray and paper towels right away. You're just going to create, sludge. So is it, okay, call in the dustpan and brush, get this out of the way until we come in and spray bomb the place and then wipe up the leftovers.
Okay, we're going to do one more to finish strong.
Okay.
So I've just gone 3, 2, 1 movie.
Okay. You want me to do the same? Or have you got a good one?
We've got a good one.
All right. What are we doing?
The movie starring Van Damme is called Pound of Flesh.
Okay, I don't know this one.
In China, to donate his kidney to his dying niece, former Black Ops agent Deacon awakes the day before the operation to find he is the latest victim of organ theft. Stitched up and pissed off, Deacon descends from his opulent hotel in search of his stolen kidney and carves a blood-soaked path through the darkest corners of the city. The clock is ticking for his niece, and with each step, he loses blood.
He thinks he'll be able to get his fucking kidney back intact. Oh my god, that's so funny.
How awesome is that for an idea for a game? Like,
that's pretty good. I like that. I like the losing blood mechanic. That essentially, as you go through each level, you basically like you're down to 57% blood, Deacon.
Yeah, get some O-neg in ya.
Can you top it up, or I guess you can find places to top it up.
I think this is the whole idea of the game, that your health as such is
constantly draining.
You've only got a X number of times, X amount of time to live because they stole both your kidneys or something like that. And so you're on a
maybe they stole like a ton of your organs and you
can't
back.
Eat because they stole your stomach.
They stole your stomach, both kidneys, your liver. So
and for some reason, your appendix.
Yeah, that's a bonus level. You don't have to get it back.
But yeah, I think stick with the one kidney because you can live on one kidney, but you also,
I mean, they didn't do a good job, so you're bleeding out. Is this essentially like a fighting game then? Is this a beat 'em up in the style of like a Max Payne or something where you're like running through hordes of enemies?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, is it sort of like, a My Friend Pedro sort of 2D
like side-scrolling sort of
2D side-scrolling sort of thing? Because that really does work well for this sort of thing of going through lots and lots of enemies, but, you know, you can only get hit X number of times before you got to restart the level. And
do we play on the Van Damme aspect and you've got moves where you're like doing massive split jumps to like like either to get over things or to do the Splinter Cell style, like standing up above in a hallway, to like catch yourself.
Yeah.
Like that of a really ridiculous Van Damme character who you can literally like, instead of double jumping up a narrow like passageway, you just like split jump your way up.
Yep. So what I was actually just remembering is we did a game many, like probably in the first 100 episodes where it was a 2D side scroller, but then when you went through a door, it flicked around to that other angle and you went along there. I love the idea of having it so that as you're running along, you see someone go into like a hallway. You go through that door, it flicks into that hallway, and you're now beating up people throughout that hallway. You know, it can flick into like, here's a single room, and then you flick back out into the hallway.
Yeah, so you've essentially got this whole 3D filled space, but it's
filled with 2D arenas, basically.
Yeah, that's cool.
It kind of just adds a little bit to the 2D side scroller platform.
Yeah.
Whereas it feels like a fully filled out world. It just so happens that, you know, you're going along lots of corridors and that sort of stuff. And
Yep. Yeah, I like that.
And if you wanted to, you could break it into, if you get into like a huge, warehouse sort of thing, you can break it into the Double Dragon style.
Like being able to sort of move in and out of the screen a bit more. Yeah.
And then you're in a corridor again. So it's in that 2D sort of.
So I think you need a lot of kicking moves being a Van Damme property. I think we try to get good old JCVD, to do the voice. He's not doing much these days. Weapons, yep. Do we go gunplay or do we go?
Well, I see here in the picture, he's got a shotgun in his hand, so there's definitely some weapon play,
some gunplay. Cool. I think you do it, you know, fairly limited
ammo.
Yeah, like ammo. So and you just like throw away the weapon once you've done. So it's sort of, you can pick them up off the enemies or something. And
yeah, I like the idea of lots and lots of weapons around, but your shotgun's got like 2 shells in it, and that's all that's in the barrel, sort of thing. Or
yeah, well, that's it. Yeah,
you pick up a 9mm.
There are no ammo drops. There are only gun drops, and once they're done, it's like a classic, like throw the gun away or throw the gun at them. You know, particularly if we go
catch it in the air and.
Yeah, I don't want to go too close to the My Friend Pedro stuff. Obviously, I think My Friend Pedro is very acrobatic and you're constantly moving forward. I feel like this is maybe a little bit more strategic, where so you can like do a split jump up into the corridor and wait for the guy to come below you and just like shoot him in the head or drop down on him.
But you can't do it in the room that is like lit up, like the sun is literally in the room. You have to find the one with the downlights so that you can get above the downlights and sort of be up in the darkness. Right.
Yeah. It only works in certain situations.
Yeah. It's all this global illumination stuff, because that's right. This entire thing is, you know, got bounce lighting and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, you could do pretty nice baked global illumination in a smallish area like that, each area. Or even real time. Well, I mean, you just this is Unreal Engine 5, right? We'll just use whatever it is, Lumen. And then of course you've got the blood just dripping out of you constantly. You always know where you've been.
I love the idea that you're up on the wall and your hands kind of down, just catching the blood. You
have to catch the blood so they don't see you. Well, I think it's just dripping. It's out a mini game. So there are timing aspects of like, you can't just sit up there too long because they're gonna see the blood dripping if you're up there too long. But it's around the lighting. It's around the timing.
It's also about they're underneath you. Just drop down, you crush them, you pick up their weapon, and you shoot the next couple of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I do like the idea that you've got a certain amount of room in your backpack that you can pick up, you know, X number of weapons off people. Yeah. But it's like each each one only has, this has only got 2 shots left. And so,
yeah,
you know, 2 shots, throw the gun,
switch.
pick out the next
one. You can
one.
have 2 or 3, like, slots, essentially, to rotate between. Yeah. Cool. I like it.
I love seeing the animation of him open it up, check how many bullets in and put it back in and just load it into the chamber and away he goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Work well. John Claude Van Kidney. All right.
You may have just come up with the name of the episode.
Well, on that note, though, I think we will end the episode. If you want to find us online and listen to all of our previous episodes, you can go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. Leave us a review. Tell us what you thought. Tell us what you didn't like. Tell us what mistakes we made or like what ideas we left on the table. If you had better ones, we'd love to hear them.
Mm-hmm. And also, we'd like to thank Kuridos for allowing us to use their song, Mount Defiance of the Containment Failure, each and every week.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And I'm Zeus. You're fired.